How can you trust yourself? How can you trust your intuition to trust your gut at the right times? Today, we're going to go into that because this is the thing that can make a difference in not only your sports career, but your life.
And athletes have heard that phrase before. And of course, it sounds easy. And then the game's on the line. It's a sold out crowd. There's noise. You can't really even hear yourself think. A whole lot harder to do as opposed to just say from the stands.
So today, we're unpacking what intuition really is and how athletes can build from it.
And welcome again to the Dialed and Driven Mentality Podcast. I'm host Jeff Lerg, along with our co-hosts Chris Palmer and Natalie Ferenc.
So let's just think about this for a second. What is intuition? It seems like this weird nebulous thing. Like, what is it? And if we just trust our guts, how can we know it's the right thing? But everybody has this feeling. So just think about this as a listener right now. Imagine a time when you were in a position where it wasn't so clear what to do. But you had a feeling about it. And that feeling was true. There's something, and we don't know how to define it exactly. And maybe it's just a process in your brain. Maybe it's something outside. Maybe it's spirit or something else. But whatever that thing is, everybody knows what it's like to have a feeling that something's going to happen. And sometimes it's a feeling of danger. Sometimes it's a feeling that you need to take a risk. Sometimes it's a feeling that you ought to do something. And whatever that process is, it is real. And so much of the time, when you lack the actual concrete evidence, the actual proof to do something, the gut winds up being a great way to make the decision.
And Chris, you nailed it when speaking about the athlete and this gut feeling. And that's the tension where there is this awareness and discipline, but then there's this also freedom to explore. And that's where the difficulty comes with athletics, because all athletes are looking for this clear path, like yes, no, this is it, or this isn't it. This is the way I'm supposed to train. This isn't the way I'm supposed to train. This is the team I'm supposed to play for, or vice versa, right? So that's where this gut feeling and some of the research that I did, I don't know if you've done or heard the same, but research has shown that there's like a second brain kind of within your ecosystem, within your gut, where your central nervous system is speaking scientifically to another system. I don't want to get too scientific for our young listeners, but there is this feeling that we feel inside of us when we know the right thing to do, or our right thing to do. So that's where that gut feeling comes from. And as you lay out player decisions or coach decisions when dealing with players, you'll often hear, I just went with my gut. So I don't know if you can expand a little bit more on how you've helped other athletes get through that scenario with, I just went with my gut.
Human beings live their lives in shades of gray. They live in gray. There is so little that is absolutely 1 + 1 is 2. And what I mean is, let's just look at a goalie in a net. A goalie in a net, yeah, there are certain things you're supposed to do. There's an argument that somewhere between 25 and 50 different skills are needed to be a goalie. You train these 25 to 50 skills at camps and trainings. But those are those skills. And if everybody became really good at those skills, why isn't everybody great at being a goalie? There's judgment, and judgment happens in a microsecond. And when you've got a puck, a little rubber disc that can give you a concussion flying at you at the speed of light from a graphite stick bent so hard that it flips off and becomes almost invisible flying through people, it is such an intense thing to happen that you can't think about this. It's not a thought process. You're not sitting there going, okay, the puck is coming at me. It is a point blank shot. I need to do this. This is what I do. You don't have time for that. It is this almost immediate reaction to what's happening. And some of that's training and some of that's habit, but some of that is that your gut knows the right thing to do so often. And I wish I could give you more specifics, but it is exactly that shades of gray and exactly that kind of odd thing that is worth talking about, because there will be times when you don't know the right thing. And in that moment, you're going to have to decide left or right, do this or don't do that, react or be quiet. Gut feeling makes such a huge difference.
And let's talk about why young athletes struggle with it. And a lot of it comes down to the training environments. And Natalie, when she and I were growing up, we have brought up many times before, like we had that freedom to play and explore, and we weren't really pushed into hyper restrictive training environments. We played other sports. We had the freedom to do other things. When we played in our games in the crease, we just kind of flowed and played. Now, as athletics has expanded, there's just more and more and more, an overwhelming amount of structured training environments, which then that makes the young athlete think like, okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm sticking through a tire, and then I'm supposed to go shoot. So then when the game, if that's the only environment you train in, you think it's just A plus B equals C. It's not. So the problem-solving element must become a part of it to trust your gut. So that training environment is a big reason why many young athletes can not have that ability developed. So that's our first step in how you can get to that point of trusting your gut in the long run when the game matters most is, first off, it's your training environments. It's a two-parted answer. It's trying things out on your own, uncoached, unstructured. And secondly, when you do train, there must be that read and react environment that you're put into so that it's not just a robot expecting to get the job done if I do this in a certain way. It's a proactive and reactive approach to your training efforts.
But seriously, I get the fact that it's not so easy. And that's, again, why this gut feeling is so important. If you don't try to learn to listen to your gut, you're not going to get it right. You're going to feel in your gut that something's right. And you're going to get deceived or read something wrong. But I promise you, if you start listening to that feeling in your gut, you will get more wins out of that than going it alone. Truly.
I do want to talk about how athletes can learn how to trust their gut. And there's one thing that we talked about, how sports is uncertain, but the one feeling you do have of certainty as an athlete is when you're in that flowed state. I don't know, Nat, if you can remember what that feels like from playing wise, but I know for me, it's like the game when you get 50 shots and everything just seems easy. It's a screenplay where you're just already there before it comes through. It's a backdoor pass when you're already there waiting for it. So the flowed state, from my experience and then from training, I also learned that when you get your mind, like to get to that flowed state, one thing I learned was when you go through like workout warm-ups that are intentional and make you think a little bit, it starts to get your mind wrapped around like those tasks. And then I would use kind of like flex my muscles when I'm doing my visualization. So I'm kind of getting my mind wrapped around simple yet actionable tasks. And that's what helped me always find that kind of starting puck drops, working to get into the flowed state.
My way of helping people get to a flow state, and everybody's different, is that, one, you have to want to be doing this thing. You really have to want to be doing things. I don't think anybody reaches a flow state of losing track of time. Just to define the flow state, the best definition I know of a flow state is this being so into something that you lose track of time. You just, like, the entire universe disappears except the space around you. It's amazing. It's kind of a magical feeling, getting this little tingle, because I remember it. I ran a conference championship in Texas, and it was brutally hot. It was like midnight. They did it at midnight because that's actually the coolest time of the day in 120-degree Texas or whatever it was.
That sounds terrible.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. But I volunteered for it. Anyway, but I'm doing this thing, and it's amazing, this conference championship, how it's a 25-lap race. It's stupid, I know. But 25-lap race, and why would anybody persecute themselves like this? But I remember I lost 2 laps because they've got the little lap counter. We talked about this before. You see the laps of how many are left, and all of a sudden I went from like 12 laps left to 10 laps left. I lost 2. That was a flow state. I was in this zone where I was so into the rhythm of this thing that it was almost like I was hypnotized in a way, and nothing existed except that. But I was so deep in it, I had no actual conscious recording of it. It was crazy. I actually thought they messed up the lap counters. But there's a magic that happens in the relentlessness of your focus. Because if you become so focused, your focus becomes something that pushes everything else in the universe away. And it's magic.
And now a message from our sponsor.
Let's be real. Talent isn't your problem. Your mindset is. Most athletes break under pressure, can't stay consistent, and keep getting the same average results because their mindset was never built. This is Jeff Lerg, host of this podcast, and that's the reason we created the Dialed and Driven Success Formula. It's a 14-week mental performance system that builds real confidence, discipline, and habits that actually show up when it matters. Our results have shown that every athlete that has gone through our program has reported improvement in their mindset and consistency. No excuses, no wasted time, just systems that get results in 20 minutes a week. If you're tired of being average and you actually want to separate yourself, go to dialedandrivenmentality.com/success formula and start thinking and performing like someone who's dialed and driven.
And more often than not, a lot of youth athletes hear this thing called trust the process nowadays. And we actually had somebody write in asking, I've been told to trust the process, but I have no idea what the process is. Can you elaborate on that?
Like everything, you're going to have some people who are really well-intentioned when they say trust the process. What they mean is, look, it's all going to work out. Don't worry. Stay calm. I'll guide you through that. That's the well-intentioned side. The other side is, I don't want to deal with whatever you're telling me. Trust the process, kid. Trust the process, kid. So there's both, the well-intentioned and the not so well-intentioned, or the irritated. But I can tell you that the process on the well-intentioned side is, if we do all the right things, if we train all the right ways, if we rest enough and eat well enough and do practice the right way, we can have great things happen. That's the process. And the process really does matter if it's all well-intentioned, if it's all going in that direction. And that well-intentioned process needs to be thoughtful. It needs to be intentional. But what happens more often is that the process has a flaw in it because we're human beings and we screw up some of that. So you can go on a team and think, okay, well, I'll trust the process and I'll do whatever the coach says and that'll be enough. So you take the process from the coach and you do the training and you do all the things with the team and then figure out, what am I not getting? What am I missing? And that's the process you have to be in charge of. You have to be in charge of filling in the gaps of the things you cannot possibly get from a program. Program can give you everything. You're an individual. So it's a mix of trusting the process of what's given to you and trusting the process of you analyzing where you are and deciding what pieces of the puzzle are missing and getting training for those pieces. That's the process to trust. And the great overall blanket of this is, if you can focus on your process, if you can focus on doing the intentional things to help you move along, that is the best thing that you can do. Any doubt, fear, or worry is a distraction from that process.
And trusting the process really athletically is that it's a long-term game. There's no instant gratification. So it's another cliche phrase that's thrown around. But what it really means is your daily habits will establish your long-term path. Everyone can be great for a day, but trust the process means do it every day. Bring your best every day. Okay, work with intention every day. That's the process. So it's a cliche term thrown around very frequently, but that's in a nutshell what it means. Show up every day and good things will eventually be rewarded to you.
Awesome answers, guys. And we also have another question that came in. What was your pregame pump-up song?
When you play long enough, my pregame hit list was about 20 years old. I think I was still listening to Rihanna 2005 when I was playing back. Yeah, she's
still got it.
Yeah, she's circling back. But no, I think the one for all athletics, like just the Thunderstruck, AC/DC is just the all-time sports pump-up song. You know, any sport, anytime. I think that'll get your adrenaline flowing. So for me, that was it. Nice, Jeff. Those are some good songs.
I hate to admit this, but I never had a song. I never did. You didn't have a locker room in cross country and track. I mean, you just kind of showed up.
Sad. That is sad. No, I had the old school iPod, and then like the new versions came out. I didn't upgrade.
iPod Nano, right?
I never went to it. Just
and then the Touch.
The biggest old school one you could get. I was always on the Touch.
Oh, the Shuffle. Do you have that?
I had that, and then I did upgrade to one time to the screen, and then I stuck with it. Like everyone was using their iPhones and everything, and earbuds or AirPods. Nope, never. I was always just old school plug and play. I do want to pump up a dialed-in athlete for the week, an MSU alum, hockey player, Michigan State alum. He was a freshman this year at Michigan State, 19 years old, absolute stud. His name's Porter Martone. Just a brief little summary of him, why he's so dialed in. Freshman year at Michigan State, 35 games, 50 points. He's a first-round draft pick by Philadelphia Flyers. So once their season ended, right to the NHL. First goal he scores in the NHL.
Oh, right now?
Right now.
Oh.
Legit. Watch him tonight in playoffs. So first goal that he scores is an overtime winner. So that's his first goal. He's all fired up. But really, where he made history, and history for the NHL, is that the first 2 games of the playoffs, he scored the first 2 game-winning goals. So he's the first ever player as a teenager to score his first 2 playoff goals were game winners. So that's an NHL stat. He goes going down in the history books.
It's insane.
Yeah, he is dialed.
Very dialed. Honestly, that's a really big accomplishment.
Yeah. And my second dialed in athlete is our amazing co-host, Natalie Ferenc.
Oh, shut up.
She came out
It's a true
of
thing.
retirement. She was battling on the adult women's national championships. She got the gear back out of the closet.
I did.
Her body is still somewhat in one piece. And she was dialed. I even looked up the stats just to see how she was doing. We'll give her credit for a couple wins and a good time. But it's just like riding a bike, Nat. So good job. You made your way into the level of greatness.
Yeah, it is just like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff, for the shout out.
It makes no sense to me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense that somebody who's not doing this every day can just jump back in and feel comfortable.
Yeah, how long off? Fill us in on how long you took off.
I've skated like less than 10 times in 2 years.
Yeah, and then pucks were flying and they were being saved.
Just comes back. Yeah, it comes back to you.
I think
Out of shape, but
So you're dialed. You're not quite Porter Martone,
No.
NHL future, millions in the bank account, but you made the list this week. So
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for being an inspiration to our youngsters, especially in the female market.
My head's big now.
Yeah, exactly. But that ties in our episode on trusting your gut, trusting your instincts, which you did, Nat. And as a brief summary, I want to bring it to our athletes is really just the understanding that you're in a landscape that is developing you to kind of be structured and robotic. It's up to you to develop that free time and to learn those read and react situations. And at the end of the day, the more you want it, the more you'll work to figure it out. And that's our reminder to stay dialed and driven on your goals, as that's the only way to accomplish success.